Welcome to the Creature Cast, the official Console Creatures podcast. My name is David Petrangelo, and I am one of your hosts into this journey of all things video games. As always, it's my pleasure to say hello to my fellow writers and podcasters. Steve, you're back this week. How are you, man?
I am. I'm doing great. I'm so happy to be back, joining you guys on this podcast. I'm so happy to be home after what should have been an easy 3-day trip turned into an entire 5-day excursion because of weather.
No, really? I didn't know that. Oh, jeez. Well, you made it home safe. That's good.
I did. Yeah. After what was essentially one of the most anxiety-ridden 24 hours of my life.
No.
Delta. Yeah.
He lived the terminal for 24 hours.
No, I did. I left as soon as I could. Although Delta was like, "Hey, you're happy to sleep here. It's open 24 hours." I was like,
"No, thanks.
You're really helpful. Thank you."
Cool. Yeah, I appreciate the accommodation.
Yeah. So it was an entire thing. I got home. I was supposed to leave and arrive back in Toronto Friday night, which would have been fine. Perfect.
Sure.
Got the weekend ahead of me. I didn't get home until noon on Sunday.
Oh, yeah. No, thank you.
The worst part was, and not to go into a huge tangent here at the top of the show, was that my flight from Minneapolis to Toronto supposed to be a brisk 2 hours. And we were supposed to leave take off at 8:30. Perfect. Not a problem. It was delayed about half an hour. So we didn't start boarding until 9 o'clock. Thus,
by the time
we
you
would
leave,
have taken off by 9:30 if we're being good. In that half hour space of not boarding, a huge snowstorm came in. Froze the plane. They couldn't keep up with de-icing it. The runways were all taken over by snow. They couldn't keep up with plowing it and everything. And then after 2 hours, they're like, "We give up, guys. We're gonna bring the plane back into the terminal." I was like, "Wait, what?"
Oh, and this is while you guys were on the plane. It was one
of
those.
We were on the plane for a total of 3 hours, or 2.5 hours.
That's
get off. They're like, "Hey, we're going to book everyone new flights and everything." And because there were so many planes supposed to be taking off that night, the next plane out was Sunday morning through Delta. And that one trip that should have been, directly from Minneapolis to Toronto, then
which is nothing.
On Sunday turned into a 7-hour flight with 3 layovers. It was supposed to go Minneapolis, Chicago to New York to Toronto. And thank God, the PR team that sent me down there, they were so nice and understanding. I was like, "Get me out of Delta. I'm not dealing with these guys."
Oh, man.
Air Canada and got me out of there first thing Sunday morning.
Thank God. Holy. The fact that was even an option for them to send you basically around the entire eastern seaboard
I guess that was the only flight that had a space there.
That's crazy.
And I'm not even joking. We're all Canadians. We're all from, southern Ontario. We know snow. Yeah. We know snowstorms. I have never been in the middle of a snowstorm as bad as that. Where
really? Wow.
2 o'clock in the morning, I'm trying to get to this run-of-the-mill motel just to find a place to sleep, essentially.
Just anywhere,
right?
Yeah, sure,
anywhere at that point. Get in an Uber. One Uber on the road, granted. I was lucky enough to get the one, because it shows you on the map where the Ubers are.
Right.
Yeah.
Sure.
One guy, he's driving 20 on the highway, and thank God, because every 5 seconds his back end would start swerving, trying to get through the snow.
No, thank you.
Oh, man.
I have never been so afraid of my life in a car, but we were the only car on the highway, thankfully. So I was like, "Hey, if he bumps into something, I know that it's not another car." So
yeah, no one else is dumb enough or brave enough to be out here.
Yeah. But
all right, so I kind of get
to be back.
Yeah, so I kind of get why it was so crazy. It sounds like it was a wild winter storm, but that still sucks. So
yeah.
But you're back, so that's good. That's awesome.
Yeah.
And Bobby, hello. How are you?
I'm good. It is.
That's good.
Easter long weekend, I guess.
Yeah, long weekend coming up in a couple days. Yeah, that'd be nice.
I'm doing nothing.
Oh, nice.
Absolutely nothing, and literally just binging whatever I can find on my TV, because literally I plan to shut my brain off for the next 4 days and recoup and recharge and recover and drink my troubles away. But I have no trouble, so I'm just drinking.
What are long weekends for, right, boys? What are long weekends for? They are for the first thing. Oh, woo! I'm going to point out the transition.
Yes.
I'm going to point out the segue, which is exactly what you're supposed to do when you find a segue, right? What are long weekends for other than seeing movies? And I saw a movie already before the long weekend because I'm not going to be in town for the long weekend. I saw the Super Mario Brothers movie, boys.
Whoa!
I haven't been to the movies.
Wait, the 1990s one? That's awesome. I've never seen.
Yeah, it was great. It was on IMAX and everything. Everything was really stretched out.
Dolby Atmos.
Yeah, it was.
I saw that movie in theaters, and I still am traumatized by it. So I feel your pain.
It was also that theater that has the rumble seats and everything. It was crazy. It was
nice.
awesome. Yeah. It's it smelled like the sewers down in there and everything too. It was crazy. They went all out. No, actually, in a way, I don't wish I saw that, but that also sounds like an experience to talk about. But I saw one of the, I guess you could say it's the overnight or the really late night sort of screening of opening day.
Opening night. Yeah.
Likely the biggest or maybe second biggest movie of the year is the Super Mario Brothers movie, the animated one that is hitting screens right now. And it got me into the movie theater for the first time in 4 months. I would say I just do not venture to the movie theater, even though I have one that I can literally walk to in about 6 minutes. Yeah,
that's another thing we got to talk about, because you can walk and go see John Wick anytime you want.
Yes, and I really want to see that.
You need to.
Yeah, no, you need to see that.
We just watched the third one again like 2 weeks ago or something, in preparation to make sure that we were all caught up for 4.
That's good. That's good.
Yeah, you need to see
that. Is pure cinema.
Yeah,
it is. And art.
Yeah.
Art.
Nice. Okay. Well, I'm excited. I'm definitely going to see that. It's probably going to be one of those ones that I can just go, even if my wife can't join me, it's fine. Like, she didn't join me for Mario. That's fine. Anyways,
let's do what James Cameron said. Go see it twice, once without her and once by yourself.
I mean, I do that all the time with TV shows and movies, so it's fine. It wouldn't be a big deal, especially if I enjoy it, and I'm pretty sure I will. Mario is good. I wouldn't say it's great. I wouldn't say it's bad. It's somewhere in the middle. It is. So if you're going into this like us, gamers for life, and all around Nintendo, Mario, Mushroom Kingdom, Nintendo characters, I think there's this, I wouldn't say there's an expectation that this is supposed to like meet, but I think what you might assume this movie is, where it's just a lot of nostalgia and some high profile actors doing some voices on some of your favorite characters. That's pretty much what all this movie is. There's not much story going on here. There's not much character development. It is just an excuse to get these characters together, but it is still a lot of fun. I think, it's, depending on how you feel about some of the voice acting, it still works, I think. I wouldn't say that Mario is like the worst part of the movie because Chris Pratt is his voice or whatever, but they still have fun with all the scenarios that they put them in. It is jam-packed with as many characters as you can almost possibly think of, whether they have more than 5 words to say or 5 seconds on screen, they're there. They appear there. It could just be an Easter egg, honestly, in the background, and they say nothing. It's the whole Leo pointing at the screen meme for 90 minutes.
That's great.
Yeah, so that part of it's a lot of fun. That's what I enjoyed the most, and it looks really great too. I mean, the studio that does it,
Illumination,
Illumination has a huge pedigree of success with this. It doesn't matter if the Minions series and movies aren't your thing and aren't really meant for us and our generation and stuff. That's totally fine. But when you put that type of talent and this colorful world and characters and put them together, you're going to get something that's going to look nice and flashy and really, there's a lot going on in some of the scenes, as you can see for even some of the trailers, but you can follow all of it, which is great. It's not just a mishmash of garbage like it is in a lot of like the Transformers movies, for example, which I know is, live action and CG at the same time, but as a comparison, you can follow everything and have a good time with the characters. It's not going to blow your socks off. It didn't blow my socks off, but I had some chuckles. I had some fun. And for, guys like us and people like us that have grown up with all of this, if anyone is in their 30s and 20s and has grown up with Nintendo and the Super Mario world and Mushroom Kingdom and stuff and Donkey Kong and all the characters that you've seen in the trailers, you're going to have fun just hanging out with them, I think. And that's really all it's about. And that's enough. You know, I'm not going to say it's like a must see, but it's worth your time as well. So yeah, I would say it's fun. Yeah.
No, I mean, I think what you're saying, the whole thing about it just being fun, that's the only reason, like, that's why I want to go out to the theaters, go see it as soon as I can. I have my tickets for Friday, so just a couple days now. I can't wait because you walk anywhere in Toronto right now, you see ads for it, you see the trailers online. Everything about it just looks fun. It looks flashy. The colors, I think, again, Illumination has such a history of great animation style that bringing that and adapting a Nintendo property that's beloved is awesome. And yeah, sure, maybe, like, I'm just basing off what you've been saying, but, like, sure, maybe not all the jokes land, or the plot is kind of, thinner than it should be or anything, but that's fine because it's not a movie that it needs to be a broad movie. It doesn't have to be it
needs to introduce the world. That's all it does. That's all it needs to do.
Honestly, that's all this is doing. I mean, yes, there is an overarching, situation they have to deal with, but it's one that you would expect, and it plays out the way that you think it would expect. Like, it's just all of that.
It's Mario. We know the basics, right? I mean,
exactly.
Mario's not getting
doesn't
sniped
need
by
to
John
be
Wick,
God of War or Gears of War.
No, this needs to be a movie that can be enjoyed by anyone of any age around the globe at any point in time. Like, it has to be timeless. It has to be evergreen. So I'm down for that, as long as the quality is there, so that I go in there and I'm like, oh, this isn't just what we got in the 90s. Like,
no. Yeah, it's not. I don't think.
Dream.
Yeah, exactly, right. It wasn't just like someone had an idea and they're like, "Hey, let's pick you.
No.
You're sort of the shape of Mario and Luigi. You guys can be those characters. Let's go."
And knowing that Miyamoto and Nintendo had their hand in creating all of this, like, it makes it feel authentic. It makes it feel like, this is a movie that's been made for people to enjoy, and not just, hey, it's a movie where we just slapped on the Mario name. So I'm down for that.
Yeah, they do play off of a lot of there's a lot of, like, inside jokes, which is fun. I think that's probably, like, those are the type of Easter eggs I really enjoy. Is they'll say certain things, or they'll do a little action that you're like, oh yeah, that's from this, or oh yeah, that's referencing that game, or even the old TV show, like things like that kind of pop up in there. Very, very small things that unless you know, and you might not even realize it until afterwards. There's a couple of things I can think of that I was like, oh yeah, that was good. That's clever. And that's fine. That's pretty much what you're going to go in and get. Again, it's not an amazing movie, but it's a fun enough time that I didn't find myself leaving the theater going, man, I was so disappointed by that. It was kind of what I expected, and for the most part, I think it hit its mark. So I'm not going to tell people, like, go see this movie, because you're probably going to see it anyway. So just thought I would give my quick thoughts on it, and hopefully you guys enjoy it too. I mean, it's probably not, it's not going to be the standout movie of the year, but it's definitely going to be something that I think people are going to remember, because it was that monumental Mario movie, and is likely going to kick off 5 other types of media that follow it, whether it's a TV show or even another game in this style, or another movie, like things like that. It doesn't seem like that's what they don't make it seem like that's what they're going for. Like, that doesn't seem to be the point of the movie. So they sort of avoid that sort of obvious, like, hey, we made this because it's just the jumping off point, but it definitely is. And that's fine. They do a good job of introducing most of the characters. I would say it's not perfect, but it's solid.
Nice. One question I have. Like, as of the time we're writing, like, general audiences have started getting tickets and seeing it and everything. I see this disparity now with, like, on Rotten Tomatoes, where it's being, it's gotten lukewarm reception from critics. I don't know the exact number that is sitting at right now, but there's a big disparity between the critics review and the audience review. And I'm just kind of wondering, like, do you think, so it's 54 on the tomato meter, but 95 audience score. Do you think this movie that just reads better as a general audience movie, that they're just going in, having fun with it, enjoying it more, rather than a critic sitting there and be like, well, Mario's motivations weren't X, Y, and Z. Like,
I said it yesterday. This is not a movie for film critics, and you can tell. That's why that score is so low, because, like, legitimately, it's either below them or above them, depending on how you look at it.
Right. Yeah.
I think it's below them because obviously they're rating it to be so low, and it's clearly not. It's a Nintendo product. We know what we're getting into.
Right. That's why I was
That's
shocked when
why that's why you're seeing
started
like
coming out. I was like,
gamers reviewing it saying it's great.
Oh.
Like they're the ones we care about.
Yeah, and the audience is, I think, people that have been around these characters for at least 15 to 20 years, I would say. So us and people that are a little bit younger than us, and then for kids that are just being introduced to this. I have a friend of mine who has a young kid that's really into Pokemon right now because Pokemon are super interesting and they're fun to learn all these different characters and stuff. This isn't a Pokemon movie, but in a similar light, he knows who Mario is. He knows who Sonic is. He knows who they are, even if he's not sitting there playing games for hours a week like we are. He knows who they are, and this is a perfect type of movie for someone like that. And there's more than enough that an adult can get out of this, especially if they've spent at least some time with these games. I think with all the Easter eggs and all the things that they talk about and reference, from the small stuff to the very obvious stuff, I think if you're a gamer and have been for a while, you'll probably get more out of that stuff. But if you're going into it as like, an older sibling or a parent or something, and you're not a gamer, yeah, you might feel like you're walking into the Minions movie and you're like, okay, this is just flashy stuff with video game characters. That's fine. If that's your experience, that's your experience. But I still think that there's enough joyful stuff out of this movie that most people can get a good time out of it. And as far as like criticizing it and being a critic and all that kind of stuff, they're not wrong that the story is like pretty paper thin. And that's fine, but I don't think that's enough to say like this movie's not worth your time. So
yeah,
it's a fun time. I mean, it's not a 95, but it's a fun time. Yeah. So that's go see it, enjoy it, and go in with expectations to just see what it throws at you in front of you in a flashy big screen. And it's a good big screen movie too, because there's a lot of really fun stuff going on, and it's nice to kind of see all of this really great work in front of you. So the music's great, the sound is great, all that stuff is really fun too. They did a really great job with that. So the sort of atmosphere around everything is great. So that always plays into the enjoyment. So Super Mario Brothers movie. It's at least one of two thumbs up. Go have a good time at the movie theater.
Which thumb though? Who knows? Left, right?
I'm a righty, so right. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's the good one.
The good one, yeah.
All right. I've talked enough. Steve, we didn't have you last week here because you were dealing with Old Man Winter, it sounds like. What did you manage to play over the last week or so?
Yeah, I was kind of disappointed that I wasn't able to make the show. I got booked for like a last minute trip and was unable to come on the show and kind of talk about this. But before I get to that specific game, I do want to put an end cap on something that we've been talking about for a couple weeks now. The saga is over, boys. The saga of Wolong Fallen Dynasty is now over. It's done. Boys, I did. I got all the achievements for this game. I did what I thought was the impossible. Dave, how many times did we sit here? I was like, I am so... How many times we were sitting there, we're like, oh man, like I just don't know if this is the game. And then I come back the next week, I'm like, I keep hitting this wall, but I'm having fun. I don't know if I'm going to keep up with it and everything. At some point, I put this out in a tweet. I was like, I accidentally just fell in love with this game. At some point, I just don't even know like how it happened. It was one of those games that I would chip away like an hour and a half a night, something like that. Especially when I'm, talking about Resident Evil 4 and stuff. Like I was kind of bouncing between the two games and other games I've been playing too. But at some point, like I just kept coming back to this game, be like, okay, I can do this. And at a certain point, I went through the achievement list. I was like, I could actually do this. I don't know when I crossed that threshold, but between it being virtually impossible and it just being a week of a grind or something like that. But I did it, uninstalled it the other night. Man, I had such a time with this game, and what a roller coaster of emotion that's past like, I don't know, when did it come out? Like the end of February or something? The past like
March. It's literally a month ago.
Yeah, okay. So it's been a solid month. Yeah. Oh man, it's been a wild ride, but I just wanted to.
Now, did you find that later? I guess since the last time you talked about it, like 2-3 weeks ago, you probably had roughly like a quarter of it left or something. Was that last, third to a quarter
I was probably
of it?
I probably had half the game.
Okay.
at that point. And there's a specific boss. I don't remember the exact name of it, but I remember going on Twitter. We talked about it on the show. I went on Twitter. I was like, I don't think I'm going to be able to do this. And a couple
yes,
people I know and community, like friends of the show and everything, they came to back me up. They came to gas
came
me
to the
up
rescue. Yeah,
and they're like, listen, just do this, keep going, don't give up, because this is the moment that the game gets easier. Like once you beat this, it's all smooth sailing. And to their testament, I 100% agreed with that. Even going, because I was using like the power picks walkthrough for collectibles and stuff like that. And at the same time, they have a boss guide where they're like, this boss is difficulty rating out of 10 and everything. The last boss on there is rated like a 9.5. I did a one shot. Like I was like, we're cooking now. We are cooking now. So I felt really good about that. But no,
there do a lap around the block.
Oh my god. Yeah, I was feeling really, really damn good about myself. But yeah, no, to answer your question, like there was a moment halfway through the game where it was like, okay, I feel like I'm going uphill every single time I'm playing this game. And then once I hit that, I plateaued. And then even replaying some levels to kind of grab some collectibles I missed, I was like speed running. Because like by the time you get there, I think I ended at like 32 hours or something like that in total.
That's not terrible.
Yeah. Not terrible at all. Yeah. I just you figure out the patterns of the enemies, and you just kind of, it's all like muscle memory at that point. And so it really does feel like a game that you can, like we talked about in the past, where you can learn and kind of feel yourself getting better at, which I think is
that's
great
awesome
testament to a good game where you feel that progression system, not only in how your characters progressing like level wise, but just you as a player being like, I understand the fundamentals, I know how to block, parry, do all this stuff. So shout out to Team Ninja, because at first I was kind of trepidatious about this game. I was like, I don't really know about it, is it really good? But no, they did it.
Nice.
No,
that's good, man.
They're incredible.
Yeah, they're awesome.
I gotta go back to it. That's one game I've always said I'd come back to, but it's on the back burner. It's maybe 3 hours of my time I spent on it, so it's like I gotta go back.
That was about 3 or 4 as well. Yeah,
whatever
playing that boss like 8 times is or 10 times is, whatever that equals is roughly how far I got. So 3-4 hours, something like that.
Yeah.
No, I need to play it. Oh man.
Yeah, like I'm same thing. I'm interested to go back. I definitely think that whole, like, every time you've said that, Steve, where it's like, you know that you're getting better, like you're learning this game. I like that feeling. It's just, then Diablo hit, and I was like, okay, now my muscle memory is somewhere else, and then something else came out, and now reviewing something. It's just like all these things kind of come up, and it's now I kind of have to start over and get that muscle memory back. And that's it's like going into like League for the first time, as like an example, or Dota or something, where you're just like, it's so daunting. And I know it's daunting because I've played it and got my ass kicked. So I'm kind of I'm like scared almost.
Yeah. No, absolutely. And it easily could have gone the other way, where I put this game down for a month, came back and be like, I don't remember how to play this, and never touch it ever again.
That's what that's probably what's happening with me. So it's a slow decline in skill, whereas yours was the other way.
Thankfully, all the stars aligned. But
that's good, man. Sweet.
And then the game that I specifically wanted to join last week, because it just came out, was Resident Evil 4 Remake, and what a treat!
It is incredible.
Yeah, Bobby, I'm sure you talked a lot about this game. I unfortunately didn't get to listen to it and hear you give it its flowers, but I went through it. And this is just a very good game. I mean, just in terms of the lineage that we've gone from Resident Evil 2 Remake, 3 Remake, and now 4, like there are so many quality of life improvements made to this game. We even talked about when we were doing the demo, and talking about, it just feels more frenetic now that you can actually move and shoot and go through the menus so much more easier. The fact that there's like an auto sort, which I know community members out there will be like, you're using auto sort, like that's just not it, Chief. Like
you gotta be out of your mind to not use it. It's the best thing.
I've talked to some people who are like, no, hardcore Resident Evil fans, they don't use auto sword. You gotta go through that shit. Like
hardcore Resident Evil fans probably don't shower, so let's leave it at that.
Let's
leave it at that. Because
fair enough. But But no, like
you fucking nerds. Like auto inventory is like the greatest thing ever.
thank you. Thank you.
Like, I'm gonna sit there and try and jam all my stuff into a little fanny pack for 20 minutes. Get the fuck out of here. I have more important things to do. Ashley needs help.
I want to play this game.
Yeah.
And
Ashley's
Leon's fucking worried
incapacitated
about how
in the
many
back.
fucking
She's
clips
shot down
of
by
fucking
a
green herbs he can fit into his pocket. Get out of here.
she's shot down by a fucking cannon, and I'm here fucking going through all of my resources, stack the
Oh,
resources
man.
over here.
Oh,
Yeah,
man.
no.
Hold on, let me just move my red herb. Hang on.
Oh my god, yeah. I'll be with you there in a second,
Gamers'
Ashley.
priorities are so out of whack. Like I think they live in bizarro land at sometimes. Like it's just like, were you born on Earth? Are you from like? I'm not even gonna say a decent planet like Uranus. Like you're you don't even have this. You're not even from our galaxy. You're whack jobs if you believe that I'm gonna sit there for an hour
No,
and be a hardcore gamer because I sort individually. Get the fuck out of here. Get out of here.
love it. But
aside from
no,
the inventory,
aside
how
from
was
the
it?
inventory,
Or how
no,
is
the
it?
the gameplay is really good. Bobby, I know we talked about it like off air of the podcast, but you were talking about the puzzles. Some of the puzzles are just kind of just really out there in a lot of ways.
They're there. That kind of brought everything down because there are
I
a
think
lot of them.
Yeah, there's a lot where it's just like, I guess it's a puzzle for puzzle's sake, similar to kind of God of War Ragnarok, where it's like I don't really see the point of this. Like, it doesn't give me the same satisfaction as the mansion or the
Exactly.
the police station. Like, it's not those puzzles that actually feel rewarding when you solve them. It's kind of just like, okay, I did it. But beyond that, the combat's great. I think all the quality of life improvements to just the mechanics of the game just feel really, really good. I was a little disappointed to see like they took away like some of the, like the more wackier sections of the game, like the truck that follows you or the big robot section.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, like there's just like
That's
really
not in
weird.
it?
No, like there's really odd and specific sequences that are just taken away from the game, which I understand because in hindsight they just don't really work. Like they were very weird and bizarre back in the day.
It's like the puzzles are there for the sake of being puzzles, and those sequences are there for the sake of just more weirdness in Resident Evil. Which
Exactly.
It already is wacky, and some of the games
Sure.
really embrace that. And
Yes.
this game, from what I remember anyway, kind of does as well. But yeah,
I think this one was the first one to be like, oh, now we're a weird game.
Now we're campy.
Yeah.
No, and that's I'm glad they took away all that.
Me too.
I didn't want to campiness. Like, no, if Resident Evil wants to thrive, what they're doing is working, and that's taking out all the sexual innuendos, taking out all the trashy weebo stuff that I hate. I hate weebo stuff. Sorry, guys.
No, I'm right there with you. Like whenever Leon would cross the line and just like make like an offhanded comment, I'm like, what are we doing here? So to see that he doesn't do that anymore, and like,
he's such a better character for it.
Yeah, exactly. He's a stronger character. It's a stronger game because of it. And anyone that's kind of is now all of a sudden like against the game for the changes, especially the stuff with like Ada Wong and stuff like that. I'm like, come on, like
that's another topic that just boils my blood. Like those hardcore Resident Evil fans, need to use some Mr.
Soap.
Clean on
some
no,
soap.
not even soap, Mr. Clean, because you're out of order. You wash your armpits, you dirty hardcore gamers. Like honestly,
it's the same like ridiculous, unnecessary,
there was that post
inappropriate
on
approach.
That
like some Star Wars people, like I wouldn't even call. To me, that's not a fan. To me, that's just an asshole, and that's it. If that stuff especially is bugging you, okay, yeah, you want goofy sequences or you want certain puzzles. You want it to be tank controls. You want the okay, you know what? I get it. Fine.
Go play the original.
Exactly. Play the original.
But all this other
many
stuff,
different systems,
all the innuendo stuff, all the inappropriate things that we have definitely moved past.
Like you're upset because you can't look up her skirt, or she doesn't get upset. Like go talk to a real girl. That's what I have to say to you. Like, if that's what you're upset about,
honestly, if that's your opinion, don't. You shouldn't even be doing that.
That's true. That's a very good point. Don't stay away. I mean?
Yeah. Okay. I mean, you have to learn somehow.
Stay in your basement. If that's your big hang up, stay in your basement.
I'm in a basement right now. Wait a second.
There's just so much hyperbole going around with these games. Like these nerdy, I don't even want to say gamers because they're not. Like they're just entitled assholes.
Yeah,
like sorry, the games are not made for you anymore. Those games are of a bygone era. Go back to the early 2000s. That's where you belong, because
they're still there. You can still play them.
Still there.
As long as
you can play it.
Yep. There's ways to play them.
But the great thing is that now for people like us and a lot of our audience, good people out there, this game has like risen above like what I think that Resident Evil 4 ever was. Because Resident Evil 4 was the first game in the franchise that I ever played on GameCube. I borrowed my friend's GameCube, played it through. And even at the time, by the time I played it, I think I had already started playing, like Halo 2, stuff like that, more fast-paced, frenetic shooters, albeit first-person shooters. But even going through Resident Evil 4, I was like, it's kind of slow, it's clunky. I get that the story is really cool, the atmosphere is awesome. Some of the side characters really stand out and are very memorable and iconic, but it just felt very slow to me. Coming into it now, like after all these years, having not played it, I think it stands the test of time. I think that now we're looking at a solid 1-2 punch of survival horror games between Dead Space Remake and Resident Evil 4 Remake. It's a great year to be a fan of survival horror, and I just hope that the bar that Capcom is at right now can just sustain itself over many more years. Because what they've done with 2, 3, and now 4, like they're really on some shit, and
that's it's tough to do. It's tough to do, especially to remake these games that are so beloved in a good way.
I think we can come back to this once if they remake 5, because that's the most problematic game. If they can overcome that hurdle, then we'll say they're the best. But
so
they've been on
I wanted to bring this up on the show because I threw it out there on Twitter like probably a week ago or something. I was like, I know obviously a lot of people want Code Veronica. That's a hot button game for a lot of people to see remake, which I'd be down for. But I am very curious to know if Capcom could remake Resident Evil 5 and just remove all the problematic mechanics, all the problematic references in there, because there are some, especially with the setting that it takes place in. I'm really curious if they could do what I think is the impossible and make Resident Evil 5 a objectively good game, because I would love to see that.
Well, I mean, if they were able to... Yeah, go ahead, Bobby. Yeah.
Because now they have this opportunity to just like that Fast and Furious scene, and when Dom and Paul go this way, divert the storyline, make it go Resident Evil 4 remake, Resident Evil 5 remake, but make it brand new. Veer off to a different path. So combine 5, bridge 6 and 7, because 6, 7, and 8 have their own different lore now. Like they're definitely going a different direction with the lore in 7 and 8 for sure. Tie that into 7 or tie that into 5, because it's there. They're close enough. They can do it. Cut out 6, make 5, and then just redo the series from 5 going forward. Like 6 was a nonsense game. There's nothing I remember about the game that I thought could stick. So remake 5, rework it, and then 6, let it be a brand new game.
Yeah. Take away like the co-op, because I think that like the co-op of 5 and to a greater extent Resident Evil 6 kind of outdated at this point. If they keep it like
they should get rid of it completely and then just do what they did with Ashley. She was so helpful in this game.
No, I definitely agree. Yeah, that's another great point, is that whole mechanic of having her kind of trail along behind you and be able to control her, the depth of which she follows. That's really cool as well. I'm enamored by this game. I think it's really awesome what they've done to keep it core to what the game was, but make all these quality of life changes to make it a game that stands as a test of time and make it stand as a 2023 game. It's super solid. I highly encourage people go check it out.
I'm very tempted. I really enjoyed 2. and have played the original 2. 2 is probably the one that I've played the most, either from the original and then more recently the remake and stuff. And 4 was one that I never played the entire thing through, but I played sections of it multiple times because I never owned it. Or maybe I had it was it on PS2? I don't know if it was at the time.
It was, but it was inferior.
Yeah, but I think that's the version that I played off and on here and there and stuff. So I'm interested in playing this because I've seen some people play it. I've seen lots of highlights of it. I've read a lot of reviews and everything, and it's just like, oh man. But then there's just too much to play. It's too much. It's too much. Yeah. So that's always a good problem to have, I guess. But yeah, so I wanted to actually mention 2 other games. Speaking of too many things to play, my list has changed multiple times of stuff I wanted to talk about. First, I want to talk about the fact that Loop Hero just hit Game Pass. And I don't know if anyone's played Loop Hero before. It is very... so I bought this, I want to say about a year ago. I think it's on Epic when I bought it. I don't know if it still is. I don't know if it's on Steam and stuff. It's like Vampire Survivors. It's like a couple bucks. Like, just, it's worth your $4 or $5 or whatever it is. But now that's on Game Pass, it's also on console, but I kind of think it lends itself to a PC with the mouse. But honestly, it's like a 2-button game. Like, you really, it's very passive, but also very involved at the same time, which is sort of a, oxymoron, I guess. But essentially, you have this map or this grid that a procedurally generated map is in a circle, or some version of a loop, literally a loop. You are a hero going in a loop, and this path, and this path that you are walking is procedurally generated. So every time you die, you come back, and it's going to be different. And that's the roguelike element of it, is that you're going in and you're trying to defeat enemies. If you don't make it, or if you choose to leave that level, you can keep your resources and sort of build up your base, so to speak. There's multiple classes. You start off as like a typical warrior with a sword and a shield. There's a rogue. There's an archer, I believe, and like a wizard and stuff. There's a whole bunch of different characters you can unlock. But essentially, the gameplay is you hit the A button, X button, the space bar, the left mouse button, and you just control when you want to pause the game and when you want to not pause the game, because the game fights and operates automatically. You don't press any buttons to move. The character literally just walks along the loop, along the path, without you having to do anything. It engages with enemies that pop up on the map without you having to do anything. And it's really about you building resources and collecting loot so that you can survive as many loops around as you possibly can. Very basic graphics, very basic sound, very basic idea, I would say, overall. But it's interesting because the way that they sort of turn it on its head is that not only is it sort of working automatically in some ways, you're not building your base. Like, you're not building a tower, like in a tower defense. You're not building an area where you can pick up new weapons every time you go around the loop. You are building where enemies are going to spawn and how you are going to get your experience and where you're going to fight. And you have to sort of manage your health bar, your items, your experience, and all that stuff based on how these enemies are spawning in that loop. Every time you go around the loop, you get a little bit of health, a little bit of a boost of experience, and then you go over it again. And every time you go around the loop, all the enemies get a higher level, just like you do, and you try and accumulate as much loot as you can. But the only way you can get loot is by defeating enemies. So it's sort of like this give and take, push and pull thing, where you want more enemies on the map, but the more you have, the harder it is. But the more you have, the better and more loot you're going to get as well. It looks like almost nothing when you look at it, when you see a video of it. It looks very rudimentary, very simple, and it is. But the music has like this this sort of like old school, early 90s, late 80s atmosphere to it. Has a real good mix of interesting music and old school sound effects, and all of that brings like this atmosphere to it. But it's like, it's almost one of those games that you feel like you could play without really paying attention. But if you don't pay attention, you're not going to survive.
Oh, okay.
It's
I
like
know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah, it's really hard to explain. I would say give it a solid like half hour to an hour. You'll get a couple loops done. You'll be like, okay, I kind of get what they're going for here. And then everything just builds a little bit more. And just like with other rogue like games, when you take resources back with you. You can upgrade things. You can change the type of resources that you get and enemies that you face. There has like a card system based into it. It's just like Vampire Survivors. It's much deeper than it looks. And I love that about it. And it is really easy to just sink so much time into this without even realizing.
Man. That's dangerous.
Yeah, it is it's very dangerous. Steve, honestly, man, because you like Vampire Survivors, at least give this a try. I'm
going to just based off your recommendation. I know we've got like throughout the show we've talked about games and recommended games to each other that really resonate. I know that you were like, oh, this could be up your alley.
Yeah,
I'll be honest, I took in every single word you said. I'm looking at a screenshot from this game and it means nothing to me. I'm just so
it looks like
what I'm looking at.
Like a dollar store game, but like I remember this game. I think we actually have a review on it. No, we might.
It's been out for like a year and a half, I want to say, or something, like an original release, and definitely there was like a beta for it and stuff. But yeah, I picked it up based on, I think I read a review at the time or heard another podcast like over a year ago. And again, I played it on Epic and got it at that time and put hours and hours into it. And I'm like, oh man, now it's on Game Pass. Perfect. You can play it on your phone too. They even have like a cloud version of it. So like, it's great. It's really, even though it sounds like there's not a ton going on, I think it would be tough to sort of see.
It's a Devolver game. So like you're getting a pretty high quality game.
And you're getting a quirky idea or a unique idea and spin on a genre that is, honestly, it's overloaded. And it's a great game. Loop Hero, even if you don't have Game Pass, it's definitely worth the low price tag that it is. It doesn't look like much, and honestly, a screenshot tells you nothing. It's almost like you have to see a video to kind of understand kind of how it works. Because even if you see like the battle screen or the fight screen, it looks like just okay. What is this? It looks like something that came off the 2600 from 1987, like, or 85. Like that's what it looks like. Yeah. But it's great. It's awesome. And really catchy music, which always helps. Yeah.
One thing I do want to point out that just regarding the price, in Canada is $20.
Yeah, 100%. Go for it. I thought it was less at the time. Maybe I got it for less because it was, like a 1.0 release or something. I don't know.
Early access.
Either way, the $20 I would not regret at all.
Nice.
And honestly, if it's something that you can get on Steam, for example, and you can definitely put under 2 hours into this and see if it's your thing, and then return it if it's not.
Right. Yeah,
you can definitely get a couple of good runs in and be like, okay, I get what they're going for here, and you can go for it.
It's $8 on Switch right now.
Ooh,
there you go.
It would work on Switch too. Nice.
It's on sale till the 17th, and $7.97, 60% off.
Amazing. Great game on the.
Actually, no, I have it on here. I actually I did buy it. Apparently, I just never played it.
Well, I'm happy to be your reminder, sir.
I'm downloading to my library right now.
Yeah, and it's like, you're gonna download. It's gonna be done in literally 6 seconds. It's like one of those 200 meg games. Like it's tiny. Yeah. Okay. So that's Loop Hero now on Game Pass, but definitely worth the purchase. And also, a good game to take on the go if the Switch is something you take along with you. Just like roguelike games are. You do a couple runs and you can put it down and feel like you can pick it back up again and all that. So also, a friend of mine, Mike's probably listening to the show. I know he tunes in all the time, but we were trying to find something to play together last weekend, and we were sort of
Diablo?
Well, yeah, without Diablo, we needed something to play together, right? So
I feel you.
Initially, we're flipping through Game Pass. We both have it, and we're like, okay. I suggested, why don't we try the Battletoads game? I haven't played that game. When that came out a few years ago.
It's so much fun.
I want to try it, right? We played through Shredder's Revenge, myself and Mike. Like we had a really good time with that. We've gone back to it a few times, and I was like, okay, let's try that. Unfortunately, it is only couch co-op and not online co-op, so we had to drop that idea, which is really disappointing.
I remember that.
Being so that sucks that they haven't added that or changed it or whatever. I'm interested in playing it. I left it installed. Maybe I'll just play it on my own. Looks like a fun time. So we're like, okay, let's find something that's co-op. I didn't really feel like playing like a, Call of Duty type thing or anything that was like super competitive. We just wanted to sort of chill with the game. And we're flipping through the list of games, and Escape Academy came up, which is a escape room, not simulator, but sort of co-op, or could be a co-op game. You can play it solo as well. And we're like, you know what? Let's give it a shot. Don't even have to download it. You can just stream it onto the Xbox and be quick and go. Let's just We've already been trying to battle with Battletoads. Let's just pick a game and play it. Escape Academy, we played for a couple hours. I would say 2 to 2.5 hours, and did a couple of the quote unquote escape rooms in it. And it's a lot of fun. It is a really, really cool game, and definitely something that is worth playing with another person, because even as you play online, it's as if you're playing couch co-op, because you have a split screen. So, for example, you're looking for clues, and they call it escape room. Like I say escape room, but really you're sort of like in a courtyard. Sometimes you're in a couple of buildings, or you're in a couple of different areas. It's not just like you're stuck in a room. It's much more elaborate than that. Right. Sometimes you are, sometimes you aren't, but there's a story going on, and there's reasons why you're in different areas and everything. You're sort of part of like an escape university is sort of what it is, to be like an escape master. So there's sort of like a fun little like play on how things work there, sort of similar to like a Hogwarts type of feel. So like, for example, you're trying to, I don't know, find a clue to unlock a door. It has some sort of like passcode, for example, that is not a number. It's, color coordinated or something like that. I could be off in another part of the stage, and I find a note, or I find something written on the wall or the ceiling that may be coordinated or may be associated with that door that Mike is standing by,
right,
on a couple 100 meters away. He can see what I'm seeing, and I can see what he's seeing. So I don't need to go and say, hey, the color code is green, red, purple, orange. I can just say, hey, look what I'm looking at. Why don't you try that? And he can just punch it in and see if it works. Mm-hmm. Little things like that make the coordination much smoother. I can find a picture, like a photo that I need to reference to find some other sort of passcode to get into a hidden bookcase or something like that, for example. I can just choose to hold that photo in the bottom right corner of my screen and just walk around with it. And both of us can see it at the same time and use that as reference.
Right now. It looks
cool. And if the person you're playing with says, hey, pull the picture a little closer, or pull the passcode a little closer, you can just do that with a click of a button, and you can flip it, you can turn it around, all that stuff. You can do it all in real time, and you're seeing each other's screen, and it just makes the coordination much better. It sort of allows them to bring the escape room idea into a game, because really, if you were in the same room as 2 or 3 other people, you're not going to see what this person is looking at. You can't see the other person's perspective. So this is a way of making it make sense as a game, and not just, hey, let's just do an escape room just on your Xbox instead. We had a really good time. Like we solved, I would say 3 or 4 different ones. Some of the clues are more complicated than others, but all of them you will figure out. I think some levels have a half-hour time frame. Some will have 15. You can easily pick a hint if you want to at any time. You can just hold on to the X button on your controller, for example, and it'll give you a very vague hint as to what you need to do next. It's not going to tell you exactly what you need to do, but it's going to give you sort of like a sketch or a screenshot of an area and say, hey, why don't you look around here? And then you go and you're like, oh shit, of course that's what it is. So
it's not like Atreus being like, hey, you gotta do this thing with the cog over here, idiot.
It's not, which I was fine with. I was fine with that stuff, but
me too.
It worked fine for me. But it's not that, right? It's not really spelling it out for you, but it's just enough that you still feel like you figured it out at the same time. So it's a really delicate balance, and it has a really fun, family-friendly sort of look to it. It's very cartoony. It doesn't take itself seriously. All the sort of environments are a little bit cartoony and goofy in a good way, and it's a lot of fun. Good, cool characters, cool areas to sort of discover, and scenarios that they put you in. And we had a really, really good 2 to 3 hour time playing Escape Academy, and it might be something that we're going to pick up again soon, because it was easy to, and it makes you, it makes you feel smarter. How about that?
I'll take it. I'll take those wins when I can.
Right, exactly. Everyone needs a little bit of that. It's kind of like like in Portal, where you sort of solve the room and you're like, fuck yeah, I did it. But really, there was like 2 ways to do it, and like you just did it the way that they wanted you to do it, and you're like, but I'm so smart. It's like, yeah, they're smarter than you because they designed it this way. That's kind of what this is, but in a good way. I think it's all positive. It's all in a great way. So Escape Academy, I would say give it a shot if you have at least one other person you want to have a chill time with and do a couple puzzles. That's what it is. It's another excuse to do some fun puzzles, and they're all pretty clever, and all done with some really fun personalities. So I highly recommend both Loop Hero and Escape Academy this week for sure.
Awesome.
Yep. That's it. That's what I got, man.
Check that
Bobby,
out.
You are playing something you can't talk about yet, so we will get to
Multiple
that at
games.
some point.
Unfortunately, I cannot.
Yeah.
But one's a remake, one's a remaster. Yeah, one's a remake, one's a remaster.
Hint, hint, wink,
They're
wink,
out this
wink,
month.
wink.
Wink, wink. There's
April's looking busy. April and May, we got Star Wars, we got some Jedi action going. We can customize our beards and outfits and stuff.
That's that's why the game is 160 gigabytes. Is because
all the beards,
the stupid beards and the mullets.
It's trying to render all those beard hairs.
Call of Duty, what is wrong with you? Like, you have inspired other developers to follow in your lead, and I don't have that kind of dedication to your game. If you're going to take up 2/3 of my hard drive these days,
yeah, on the consoles, that's a hefty chunk on the console, you know. So
yeah,
it's definitely something I'm gonna have to put on my PC.
I am looking forward to it, but geez, that's a hefty price to pay to play as a ginger in Star Wars.
Usually is. Usually is a hefty toll.
Yeah, they're just coming to get us. Like, they just fucking get us. We're paying the ginger tax on this one, guys.
The ginger tax.
Jesus Christ. No, I'm cool. I'm excited for it. It looks great.
Yeah.
The preview sounded very positive.
That's my
I have one big problem with this game. His running animation looks like he's going to shit his pants. So next time you look at him running, it looks like he drank some blue milk and he has to go to the washroom. Because
hey, maybe blue milk is just that good and you just can't put it down.
Goes right through you.
It's a natural laxative. But like, geez, guys.
Yeah, it's like a Tim's coffee. It just runs right through you. Just, you know.
We don't talk about
it's the Tim's coffee of space. Blue milk.
Tim's coffee of the galaxy far, far away. Blue milk.
No, but in all earnest, like the preview sounded really good. I love all the customization options we're seeing of the game. Yeah, I'm really excited for it.
No, it looks incredible.
That's the one I'm looking forward to the most, which is why I sort of brought it up first. Is that, and then not long after Zelda. So we got a decent amount of stuff to continue to be playing and talking about over the next few weeks. But Bobby, we'll catch up with your embargoes and your remaster, redos, releases stuff.
Yeah, it should be. I think I'll be able to talk about it next week, because I think
we'll
one launches next week. So I mean, take a look at the calendar. You'll see what I'm talking about. And then the other one,
I'm taking a look.
Launches the week after.
All right, so we got some time. We're good. We're good.
Yeah.
Okay.
Shoot, we have Horizon Forbidden West next week, guys.
Yes.
I completely forgot.
2 weeks. 2 weeks.
Oh, 2 weeks?
2 weeks for public. I'm expecting we'll hear something next week, but yeah.
Yeah, but that's coming down the pipeline too.
It's a busy month.
Yeah, it's a busy next month and a half, so we'll have lots of stuff to talk about. Bobby, where can everyone find all the stuff that you have been playing and will be playing, and all of us as well, with Console Creatures Business?
Well, you can find us all on Hive, because we're not talking about Twitter today. But no, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube. Maybe we'll be on some new platforms whenever they decide to publish them. I don't know. We're everywhere, guys. We're drifters right now until Elon gets his shit together. We're just drifters through a dangerous time. When? Maybe, I don't know, one of them. But like consolecreatures.com, you'll find us.
That's it. That's the best way to find us. Yeah, for sure. Steve?
You can find me across the internet at Asfigvari.
Amazing. Find myself at Console Creatures. I'm going to have a couple of reviews coming up in the next couple of weeks. I will not be here next week, but gentlemen, have fun playing games. We'll see everybody next time. Bye.